Actor and comedian Ben Stiller visited Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy yesterday on World Refugee Day. Stiller is the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees Goodwill Ambassador.
This comes as the fate of 2 U.S. military veterans captured in Ukraine remains unclear after Russian President Vladimir Putin's spokesperson said Moscow wouldn't guarantee that they won't face the death penalty. Russia also informed NATO member Lithuania on Monday that unless the transit of goods to Russia's Kaliningrad was swiftly restored, Russia would take retaliatory action. This comes after the country blocked goods to Kaliningrad, Russia, due to EU sanctions.
All this is happening against the backdrop of Ukraine waiting for decision on whether it will be granted the status of a candidate country for the European Union. And this conflict with the Lithuania part of it, I think, shows the danger of kind of empowering just every little state in Europe to start an antagonistic relationship with Russia and think, we've got your back. Do we have? I mean, we don't necessarily want to have your back. We don't want conflict, period. Mm-hmm. And it's all kind of blowing up in everybody's faces.
This was the fundamental question that I've been asking everybody since this conflict started, since before I had a take. I asked everybody who came on my show, what is the litmus test for U.S. involvement? It cannot be a maximalist litmus test, or we're just fighting every war on the planet, right, with no interest in what's actually in the best interest of American citizens. So what is the rubric? Why Ukraine and not, some country in the global south usually is the question. And no one has really been able to principally answer that because there are some mutterings about, NATO, but it's not a NATO country. And if that's the status, it's everybody who's like NATO adjacent wanting to be in NATO friendly allies, and we get into these kinds of situations.
Right. The honest answer is that, well, Russia is a powerful, hostile or semi-hostile nation that we want, and we really don't like their government, and we would rather their government was, I guess, changed, although a different government, a different regime could be worse, as we've often found in cases where we've experimented with bringing in different regimes. Mm-hmm. So that's the honest answer. It's not humanitarian. It can't be humanitarian. Or you get into a weird, why do we care about European lives more than other lives?
Which we saw a round of that shortly after the conflict started. Oh my God, they have blonde hair, they have blue eyes, they look just like us. This is devastating. Oof, say less.
Yeah.
But the other part of this
blue-eyed people. Useless.
Go back to where you came from. But the real thing about this is I just am struggling to understand why Ben Stiller, why here.
Right. I guess the technical answer is what did we read? Commanding General of the Goodwill Ambassador program. Yeah, I don't know. Zelenskyy, everybody's kind of got to do their photo op with Zelenskyy because of his star power, which feels kind of weird.
Look, in fact, I listened to a clip of their meeting this morning, and Ben Stiller says to him, you were an actor. You gave up your whole acting career for this, a successful actor. And Zelenskyy says something like, not as successful as you. There's this weird rapport that truly begs the question of, even in his role as a Goodwill Ambassador, is the idea that there's not enough awareness about what's going on in Ukraine? That the world isn't focused its global attention on what's happening in Ukraine? Do we have to?
I think the attention has waned a little bit in the last month, or maybe just American media attention has waned.
Perhaps because all these other terrible things are happening in part as a consequence of these sanctions and the war in Ukraine.
Yeah. Right, which didn't work. Move on. Sanctions didn't work. Let's just move on. Talk about something else.
It's an incredibly awkward posture. I mean, walking around D.C. still, I was doing a lot of walking this weekend and saw this battle of flags happening all over the place. There's Ukrainian flags hanging all up and down. And obviously, there's Embassy Row and a lot of consulates here in this part of the city. And I saw there was it wasn't like the Russian embassy, but it was some other Russian language institute or something. And all of the houses right across the street had a ton of Ukrainian flags up. There's this weird performativity about all of it. And that's not to say that individuals aren't sincerely concerned with the humanitarian issues, but the disproportionate focus is so bizarre. There are a lot of people hurting and struggling in the world right now, and your choice to buy a Ukrainian flag off of some who knows who vendor who's sending the money to who knows where is not, I'm sorry, connected to your sincere humanitarian interest. If so, you would have a whole plethora of flags outside of your house. A Syrian flag, a Palestinian flag.
That reminds me of when there are like political events in D.C. and then all the merchants appear selling merchants for those candidates. It's clear the merchants have no political affiliation whatsoever. Like, can I take some money from some resistance liberals or MAGA-loving Trump people? But that's capitalism, and to me, that is beautiful. To me, that is truly beautiful.
All right.
Ben Stiller should have pulled a Derek Zoolander, right, and been like, what is this, a country for ants? How will we teach them to fight if they can't even get inside the building? It's great.
That's great. Look, no disrespect to Ben Stiller. I love his work and would also enjoy meeting him. Not exactly sure that his capacity as a UN Goodwill Ambassador is a complete justification for this. But hey.
Hey.
It's a cool day for Zelenskyy.
We should wrap this with our best Blue Steel impressions.
Robby.
I'm having fun. It's been a long day.
It's been a long day. We'll have more Rising for you after this.